Masachet Batra Daf Nun Dalet, continuing from Nun Dalet Amud Bet, second line. Marav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, Nechse Obed Kochavim Herehen Kim Midbar. A non-Jewish sale to a Jew, the property is considered like a desert unless it gets, it's like ownerless, like a desert, unless it gets acquired. So therefore, whoever does has a covenant, acquires it. Right on why? Because regarding a goy, as soon as he gets cash, it's no longer his property. The Jew, however, does not get it until he gets a document. Therefore, in between, it's in the air, it's in the clouds, it's hefker like a desert. Therefore, whoever can get it gets it first. The law of the land of the king is the law, which means we go according to the minhag of the country. Right? We don't keep our specific halachot in regards to sales, for example, in America because they don't apply if the American laws are different. The king holds, and a person can only acquire land with a document, and therefore you cannot do a hazakah. I don't know about that because I know of the story that happened in the village of a shepherd, in like a shepherd village. A Jew bought land from a goy. Another Jew came and dug a little bit into it, and he did a hazak on it. They came to Rabbi Yehuda, sorry, and he played him in the second possession of the second guy, which shows that it's like a hefker item, like we just said, against what the rabbi just mentioned regarding dinar de machut dinar. Right? Gemara says, no, due to the rabbi the kamar, we're trying to bring the proof from the case of the shepherd's village. Over there, it's in property that's that the authorities don't know about. The inu gufay lo have task because they don't pay taxes to the king. The king says, whoever pays taxes for the property, can take it. If there's undisclosed properties, no one's paying taxes for it, which these shepherds aren't. Whoever pays taxes for it gets it, and therefore, in that case, the second guy would come along, grabbed it, started paying taxes, and that's why he was getting it. But in general, we do not say that a sale would put the land in the air for another person to grab it. Similarly, bought land from a goy. Another Jew came and dug up it. And Nachman said it belongs to the second guy who dug. Why are you saying that? Didn't Shmuel say that if someone does a kinyan after someone a goy sells it, it's like the property becomes like a desert, and therefore you grab it. So that's the case. If you hold like Shmuel regarding that, you should also hold like Shmuel. That if you dig, you only get the place of the digging, like we said the previous daf. So therefore, if you want to tell me this guy dug in order to acquire it, he should only get that 4-inch spot that he dug, and not the whole thing. Where it says, Nachman answered him, no, no, regarding digging, I hold like a different minhag. Once a person digs into a half-care field, a single dig, cannot like acquire the whole field, and therefore, because I hold like Shmuel's first halacha, that a sale from a goy goes into the hefker, goes like a desert, it's hefker, it goes into the clouds, and therefore the guy dug. I hold like a different opinion regarding digging, though, that any amount of digging acquires the land. Shalach Ravuna sent the following question. He says, a Jew bought a field from a goy. The guy just has a cut, like we just had this. We don't remove the field from the second guy's possession. Everybody agreed to this. Rabbi said, Ukvan bar Nehemiah, which is the Resh Kota, the head of the government of rabbis, told me the following 3 halachot. Dinan b'chut dinan halacha of the government is the law. We follow local law. And a hazakah of Persians don't work until 40 years pass. Right? We say 3 years. The law of the Persians, the local Persians, is 40 years. And regarding wealthy people who acquire land by paying the taxes, that's a good acquisition. If someone was not paying taxes and the guy decides to also pay the taxes of the next door neighbor, that's his acquisition of that property. So the Hanli Militaska, that last halacha only applies when you're paying the property tax. But if you're paying the guy's personal tax, it's called the head tax, the tax that you pay property taxes for your land and taxes for the person himself. Every man has to pay taxes to the king. So if the last thing I'm mentioning is that if you're paying the next door neighbor's property tax, you can take the property, but you not if you pay his head tax. My tama, the head tax is put on another person, and therefore that person has to deal with it. But the property tax is if it goes according to who owns the land. Therefore, if you want to pay the property tax, you can take the land. Okay. Says that no. Even barley in a jug, you can take if you pay the guy's head tax, and so therefore also the guy's land as well. You can take if you pay for the guy's head tax. We might have a problem. If so, regarding the halachot of taxes, we're going to explain in a second. You took away the entire concept of a bechor. A bechor takes inheritance. He takes two portions. So if let's say there are two children, is the bechor the firstborn son? He gets two portions. So now they split into 33% each, and the firstborn takes 66%. You basically add a child, and the firstborn takes two portions. So the Havil Ra'ui, because according to Rav Huna, who says that a person's property tax is subject to the head tax as well. So that means that let's say the father died without paying the head tax, then because you have to pay the head tax, this inheritance is not a property that you're splitting, but it's property that you're eligible for to pay for the head tax. And therefore, the halacha is the a bechor, a firstborn son, does not take possession of his double portion doesn't activate for prospective properties. It only takes in effect for actual properties. And since if you hold that head tax is tied to all your properties, then if the father passed away without paying his head tax, then that means all his own everything he owns is still subject to the head tax, and therefore it's not his actual possessions going to his children, and the son cannot pay does not get double portion. Technically, also property tax should have the same problem. If the father dies without paying the property tax, also the land's not a thing. So therefore, obviously, we must have a different solution. And the Malachim would say the Ahiv test must have a case where the father paid the property tax in order for the kid to get the double inheritance. So Hachanamit here too, the Ahiv Kargamit, the father would have to pay the head tax in order for the child to get the double portion. But seemingly he would agree that if the father did not pay the head or property tax, then because it's not super accessible, since it's not a direct line of inheritance to the child until they pay taxes, it seems like he would agree in those two scenarios that the child will not be getting the firstborn portion. Okay, Amar Rav Amar li Rav Huna bar Natan. She'atinu the Masif that I asked Rav's scribes who write up the halachot. But they told me Rav Huna b'Rav Yeshua is like Rav Huna that all property is subject for the lien of the government, including the head tax. But we don't hold like that. They said that regarding to uphold the halachot that they posted, meaning the fact that they made the halacha over there. But it seems like the scribes wrote it down over there, but we don't respect like that. Okay. A person who's considered a loafer, which means a guy who's visiting a city, he has to help the city with the taxes. That only applies where the city saved him from his share of taxes, right? So if the guy, let's say the tax collector comes to the city, says, okay, everybody has to pay $100, and he sees this visitor saying, oh, you have to pay ultimately $100, but they convince him that he doesn't have to pay taxes, he has to assist because they saved him. But let's say he has a status that makes him patur, meaning if let's say this guy has what's that term? Diplomatic immunity, for example, he's patur from taxes, then it's as if Hashem helped him not to pay taxes, and he would not have to pay the taxes at all. Okay. Amar Rab Aseh, Amar Rabbi Yohanan. The boundary, a boundary of a property or the hatzah plant. The hatzah plant is some kind of plant that the roots go straight down, and therefore it was commonly used as a boundary, a divider between properties. Those two things divide the field in regarding to a ger who died without relatives. But not regarding to the pe'ah and tum'ah. Pe'ah means the corner of the field that's given for poor people, and tum'ah as well. We'll explain what that means. So what's going on? What does it mean that it divides it? I feel the pe'ah and tum'ah, they divide. This is considered division in the field for pe'ah and tum'ah. Pe'ah mahi. What do you mean pe'ah? What do you mean that this is a good boundary? The following things is considered a division for pe'ah, right? So if I have two fields, I need two separate pe'ahs. Therefore, what is considered a separation between my fields that it would make it a separate field that I would need different payoff for each field? Following thing is hanahal, a rock strip of land is rocky that I don't plant anything, that's considered a division. Bashtalit, a ditch that's filled with water, also is considered a division. In a public or a private road, a public or private path that is always used during different seasons. All these things are considered divisions. Tum'ah, what's referring to tum'ah that is considered a division? The Tan Mishnah said, someone enters a patch of fields during the season, the rainy season, when people walk in the fields, they don't hurt crops. But tum'ah, we know that in one of the fields there's tum'ah, the dead person. The guy says, "Oh, I traveled over there in those fields. I don't know if they entered in the field that had the grave or not." Rabbi says tahor. Rahim says b'tameh. Rabbi Elazar used to say safek bi'ah tahor. In a case where we're not sure if he entered into that specific field where the body was, he's tahor. Safek maga tum'ah. But in the case where he's not sure if he touched it, he's tameh. So over here, it's a case if we're not sure he entered the field, he's tahor. He would hold that if he knows he entered the field but doesn't know if he touched the grave, then in that case of safek, in that case of that, you'd be tameh. But over here, we're not sure if he entered. So over here, the difference is Rabbi hold that what's considered division. These two items, the plant or a divider, is enough to be considered a division. So if the guy's not sure if he entered that field and is divided off by these things, it is considered division. Because if it wasn't there, then he is considered part of that field where the body is, and he would automatically be tameh even in doubt. Amen. Amen.